Good morning, everybody. My name is Marshal McKee. I am the Fulton County Marshal. This is Lieutenant Hill, and Deputy Johnson is with me also in the back. So we are the marshals. We have all of the authority that the police as well as the sheriffs have. So we can do all of those things that they do. However, we do handle about 90 to 95% of the evictions in Fulton County, and that's from far south to far north. So we do handle that, and I wanted to let you know that, but we also do all of the other things that the local police and the sheriff's office do. We were invited here today to talk with you about what's going on with evictions amid the pandemic. So hopefully I'm going to have Lieutenant Hill to go through some things, but we do really want to take your questions if you have questions, and we'll try to answer those. But we want to just dispel some of the miscommunication that may be circulating about evictions. And also, if you don't know, the CDC moratorium is expected to expire at the end of this month, correct, Lieutenant?
Yes, ma'am.
It is expected to expire at the end of this month, and we do expect there to be a large number of more evictions coming in. So Lieutenant Hill is going to take you through a very brief overview of the dispossessory process, but more so we would like to take and answer your questions. We're not here to give legal advice, but we're going to definitely try to get questions answered if you have them. And Inspector Tillman, he went to Mays, but I too am from Atlanta, born and raised right here in the metropolitan Atlanta area, and I went to Booker T. Washington. I'm going to let Lieutenant Hill talk a little bit about the dispossessory process, and then we'll take any questions that you may have.
What I would love to do is open up the floor to questions. People always have questions about the eviction process, and I'm pretty sure you may not have interest because you're not a landlord. You may not be in a landlord-tenant situation. But what I have done is pass out brochures with some information, Q&A, and I've also passed out my card. The question is about the CDC and whether or not there is a backlog. The process in Fulton County has not stopped. You as a landlord, you as a plaintiff, you can file against your tenant, okay? But understand that you as a landlord, like hundreds, if not thousands of other landlords, are also in the same situation where their tenant has not paid during the pandemic for whatever reason. So therefore the volume of writs that needs to be executed are extremely high. The Marshal and I had a conversation. I foresee it extending again because there is a spike, according to the news, COVID, so bless you. Therefore, I do see an extension.
But don't take that as
a So you guys come out and you put the property that belongs to the people or the tenants on the street?
Okay.
Or the person?
It going on the street is a terminology. I wish we would kind of get away from it going on the street.
Well, that's where it is.
It's a terminology. Let me expound on it a little bit. It's one of those terms that we can never get away from. The property doesn't actually go to the street. Okay? So hypothetically, I'm going to give you a few scenarios. If it is a house, it has to remain on the property of the plaintiff.
Well, why is it in the right of way? It's always in the right of way.
Eventually, it is in the right of way. So if this house, if we're doing a house or a structure, typically when the eviction takes place, all of the property comes out and is placed on the property, either on the lawn or the driveway. We prefer the driveway, typically because the driveway is dry. And there's no dirt, and there's no animals and things of that nature. So we do that for the purposes of preserving the tenant's property. All right? So the landlord has to give the tenant a reasonable amount of time to recover his or her property. Okay? So at that time, if that tenant does not recover his or her property, it is construed as abandoned. So therefore, now the landlord takes it upon him or herself to move it to the right of way to the street, and it becomes refuge. Okay? But in
Okay,
an apartment complex, it's a little bit different. The way that they structure the apartment complex now is one big box with the infrastructure. Everything goes to the garage. You take
Okay.
everything from the unit and place it in the garage.
you put people's properties outside,
Uh-huh.
and others come up and collect different things or go through it. I mean, can't they be charged by theft by taking, or theft by conversion,
They can.
theft by something, right?
They can.
Because it's actually against the law for them to take the property.
Well, there's another gray area. Because during the process, in that period, that property still belongs to that tenant.
Yeah.
It belongs to them. When people come along and take it, yes, technically, they can't be charged. But who can charge them and who can make the complaint? We can't.
Like the victim.
The victim does.
Right, in some.
So it's upon them to call the police and advise them that this party took my property.
So I hear what you're saying, and I've heard that before, but unfortunately, that may be something that citizens can advocate for. Georgia law does not require that, and I do know that they do it in some states, I've been told, but it's not done here. So that would be something that, you know, you guys, or if it's other citizens groups, if you would like to advocate for that.
But that's not, the reason why I asked the question was because I want to know if that's something that's been presented to you guys on some changes, nothing?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am. I mean, and with those eyesores too, you have the option of reaching out code enforcement because it goes back to that time frame that the plaintiff has to give the defendant to recover his property, that reasonable amount of time. Then at that point, after a certain period, you know, hey, Mr. Landlord, it's becoming an eyesore.
So, because there are evictions going on, so I just have to say that we have been evicting since August of 2020. So everything shut down in March, basically like the whole world came to a stop, and we did have a short period of time where we did not do evictions, but since August of 2020, we're doing evictions.
Oh.
We are. So, I mean, there were categories that could protect people when the CARES Act had their moratorium. There were categories that could protect, but there were also areas where evictions could still occur. And so our courts, that's why I was telling you, we do a rigorous process of check, the checks and balances to ensure that this is something that can be carried out. But did you get what she was
I
saying?
did,
She was
and-
talking about people moving in.
And I think this part would help. For the CDC moratorium, I think what is happening is that when CDC moratorium says that this is in place for evictions to stop, it's not something where the federal government put their knee in our back and restricted us from going forward. There's protocol in place that needs to be followed by that tenant. He or she needs to understand it, they have to adhere to it. And if they don't follow that process, the process continues.
As well as the landlord.
As well as the landlord, correct?
So they have to do certain things too to get that, what dispossession. We know it's a lot on evictions. We really appreciate being invited here to talk about it. We're definitely willing to come out if you have community organizations, if you would like to invite us out and do set up your neighborhood watches and you want us to come out and talk. We're more than willing to do that. So just call us. We did give some information. I do suggest that if you have further questions, that you go to the Magistrate Court of Fulton County's website. There you'll find just a plethora of information. You have forms, if you have to file something, you have, you know, the questions, the answers that you may have. So it's just a wealth of knowledge out there on that website, as well as there's some help organizations too that can help individuals that may find themselves in that predicament. So we thank you. Before I leave, I would like to have this lady to stand up real quick. Stand up real quick. So I started out as a deputy sheriff in Fulton County, and she actually trained me She was a
Both of
captain.
them need a prize.
Oh,
Both of them need a prize. You need a prize. And they also want your name and contact information if you could give it to them.
okay,
Yeah.
great. We have that for you.
Absolutely.
But yeah, she was my captain at the time, and she trained me up, and she's actually a big part of the reason why I am here today in this position.
We want to thank Fulton County Marshals for coming. Thank you so much.